Thank the Lord for everything He's done, and for everyone at the family table. So please come on in. When your work is done, go ahead and wash your hands. Gather around with everyone, making memories round this 9-foot pie. No other place can ease your mind like a family table. Family table. Like a family table. Family table.
Arrows flying into silence, broken pieces lying around where it went down. Water rising back to silence, quietly crying, wondering how. And look at us now. We thought our love would take the world by storm. Are we too far apart? Two worlds among the stars. You're gonna take a piece of my heart if you leave. So it's two separate ways, or am I too late to say I wanna fight for what we got? 'Cause I believe in family. So are we still trying, or simply surviving, facing these giants? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I still believe in the dreams we've been dreaming. The hope that we built on is never too far. It's never too far if we choose to turn and let these walls fall down. Are we too far apart? Two worlds among the stars. You're gonna take a piece of my heart if you leave. So it's two separate ways, or am I too late to say I wanna fight for what we got? 'Cause I believe in family. In family. In family. I still believe. I still believe that we're not too far apart. Two worlds among the stars. Don't take a piece of my heart. Please don't leave. It's not too late to say, Father, show us the way to fight for what we got. 'Cause you believe in family. In family. In family. In family. of my eye. Girl, I never loved one like you.
Man, oh man, you're my best friend. I scream it too. There's nothing that, there ain't nothing that I need.
Well, hot and heavy pumpkin pie, chocolate candy, Jesus Christ, ain't nothing please me more than you.
Oh, let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you.
Oh, I guess we're going.
Well, hey, good morning, New Life. How's everybody doing?
Doing well, Heather.
Are we doing well? Are we awake?
Doing well.
Happy Groundhog's Day. It's Groundhog's Day,
No,
right?
it was yesterday.
No, the Saints are in the Super Bowl. I mean, not the Saints, the Patriots. It's Groundhog's Day, right? I mean, like the same day over and over.
Oh.
Haven't we seen that movie? Yeah.
Here we are again.
He's in a box. Why don't you stand and join us as we connect with God through worship this morning? Eternity in our hearts. We were yours from the very start. All we know has been torn apart. Now we have forever. You gave a song for our souls to sing, and your life was the offering. Even death, it has lost its sting, and now we have forever.
And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. You made a place at your table, God. Made the way for the poor and lost. Called us into your open arms, and now we have forever. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. And no one can take your place. No life, no death can separate. Your love has conquered the grave. You conquered the grave. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. We are
There's a space in every beating heart. There's a longing that reaches past the stars. There's an answer to every question mark. There's a name. There's a hope flowing through these veins. There's a voice that echoes through the pain. There's an ember ready for the flame. There's a name. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. See, love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. There's a joy that triumphs over fears. There's a laughter that wipes away all tears. There's a presence that changes atmospheres. There's a name. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Victory has a name. Victory has a name. Jesus. Joy has a name. Joy has a name. Jesus. The name that's lifted up forever. The name that shakes the earth and shakes the heavens. The hope for every heart, the Savior of the world, Jesus. Jesus. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks our chains. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Victory has a name. Victory has a name. Jesus. chains. We'll fix our eyes, sing it. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We'll stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. My victory has a name. Victory has a name. Jesus. Joy has a name. Joy has a name. Jesus. My hope has a name. Hope has a name. Jesus. Isaiah 28:16, God says, "Look, I am placing a foundation stone in Jerusalem, a firm and tested stone. It is a precious cornerstone that is safe to build on. Whoever believes need never be shaken." My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest friend, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Let's sing that again. Come on, every voice. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Oh, I dare not trust the sweetest friend, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. When darkness seems to hide His face, I rest on His unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. My anchor holds within the veil. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord. shall come with trumpet sound. Oh, may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, for a stand before the throne.
Lift our voice in Christ alone, yeah. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak and strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak and strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all.
The cornerstone of a building was the first stone that was laid. It was the stone that every other stone was built upon. Small flaws or errors in that cornerstone, or if they put it in the wrong place, would affect the whole building. It had to be perfect, reliable, strong, and sure. And Jesus was referred to as the cornerstone for years before he was even born. He is the foundation of our faith, our rock in which we stand, the calmer of our storms, and the lifter of our heads. And when we say yes to Jesus, we say yes to building our lives on that foundation. And it can't help but completely change us. He'll change our priorities, our habits, the way we make decisions. It literally changes us. And we instinctively know this because this is why we find places to put Jesus. We find one corner of our lives that we're totally fine with him being in, maybe off to the side a little bit. Important. But best kept in one area, because that would just be way too much change. Too much of us. But that's not how the transforming power of Jesus works. It works when we allow him into all aspects of our lives. And when we say yes to Jesus, it doesn't mean that we will live a life free of trial. It doesn't mean that we'll always have a clear path set ahead But it does mean that in times of stress, confusion, darkness, and even deep pain, we can rest in the knowledge that we serve a God that only wants good things for us and loves us deeply. We're going to continue to sing, and I just want to invite you, as you feel led, to make your way to one of the tables that are around the room. We're going to celebrate communion together, and it's a way for us to say yes to Jesus together.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. For you are good, good. Oh, 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 sing, let the King. Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. 'Cause you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, sing, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo in the days. Oh, he is my song. Sing, let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song.
never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down, my Lord. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down, oh Lord. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down.
You are good.
You're never gonna let me down.
You are good.
You're never gonna let me down.
You are good. You're good.
Never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song.
Good morning. Happy Super Bowl. You guys excited for that? No? Last week I got this vibe from you. All right, come on. Let's, LA Rams, right? They're playing. Any fans? No booing. That's not Christ-like. All right. Okay, Patriots. They're in there too, right? Okay. How many of you, what? I had to write them down. I don't even watch football. I'm there for the food. I'm just telling you. Okay. Well, welcome. My name is Diva. I'm so glad you're here spending Sunday with us. Your mind might not be here. Mine was thinking about artichoke dip. Okay, I got to do the brownies still. My list of to-dos. So hopefully we could put that to the side and just come with an open heart. Ron's going to be preaching this morning and talking about a new series we're starting. It says we can do more together. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say. This kind of looks like my living room here, but I'm all about Marie Kondo right now. So I can help with this if they need help. Yeah, it doesn't spark joy for mama. So let's go ahead and get started here. If you're brand new, welcome. There's a Connect card inside your program that I kind of want to walk you through. And if you're a regular, you know what to do. Start filling that out. A couple of you have told me, I never have enough time. So I'm going to give you as much time as I can today. But the Connect card just helps us connect with you. You can write a prayer request, submit a prayer praise. You can write comments on there, and we are reading through them. And I have the privilege with the leadership team to be praying over your prayer requests. And I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, sometimes when I read those, I get the sense that you feel like you're alone. You're the only one that's going through what you're going through, and I have to tell you, you are not. And I just want you to hold that close to your heart and know God is with you. And the songs that we sang today, I hope those resonate with you, but you are not alone in any of your struggles or your worries. And so I just wanted to let you know that today. And we'll be praying for anything you have written down this week as well. So go ahead and get that ready. We're going to collect them in a couple minutes here. And then those of us who call New Life our home, invest financially here. So if you came ready to do your offerings or tithes, there's an envelope in here so you can get that ready. We also have different ways you can invest with New Life. You can text or you could give online. And if you're a first-time guest or new, please don't feel obligated to give. We want to give you a gift, and we have a gift out in the lobby for you. So, 2 announcements. One, I wish I had some music. We could cue up some like Mexican mariachi music because we are getting ready for Mexico missions trip. Give me a hoo-hoo if you've gone on one. Okay? If you have any questions about the Mexico mission trip. How much is it? Can my kids come? When are we going? What's it like? Head out to the lobby, and we will have representatives out there to kind of walk you through all that. So that'll be exciting. That is not mariachi. Justin, somebody school him. All right.
It's called mariachi, but it's not mariachi.
I'm Mexican. I know mariachi. That ain't it. All right. The other update I want to give you is on February 24th at 2 p.m., we are going to have our next community update, and we are going to be talking about Next Gen. You guys, if you work with kids, if you have kids, if you're thinking about kids, if you have grandkids, if you have great-grandkids, you should come to this community update to hear what we are investing in our children and what that's going to look like. We've been talking about it, and I just want you to come to this and just hear how excited we are. And that's going to be led by some of the teachers who work directly with our children. So I'm excited about that. So I've done enough talking. Did you find...
What color is the sky? Ay, mi amor, ay, mi amor.
Come on,
you tell
Coco.
me that it's red. Ay, mi amor, ay, mi amor.
All right. We're going to have a talk later. All right, guest services, they're going to come forward, and then we have a video for you to watch while they're coming forward, and then Ron's coming out. So hope you enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday.
Good morning. Did you like that part about coloring on the wall? Yeah. Did you like what it said after that? It's just a phase, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, a shout out to those of you who are brand new. My name is Ron. I'm on the teaching staff here at New Life. And since this is your first Sunday here, I just want to say welcome and a shout out to those of you who are watching online. I know we have a growing audience of people watching online. So good morning to you. It is Super Bowl Sunday, and Diva got you all amped up and ready for that. You know, I figure there are Patriots fans, there are Rams fans, and there are Patriot haters. So I figure that's how that goes, all right? Yeah. The Rams haven't done enough to be hated yet, so there you go. And no offense to the Rams fans. Yeah, I'll get booed off the stage here in a minute. I want to say this. 21 years ago this morning, 21 years ago this morning, 245 people streamed through the doors of the multipurpose room at Sonoma Mountain Elementary for the grand opening of New Life. How about that? Yes, indeed. It's been an amazing 21 years. So if you're a praying person, when you get ready to pray today, would you please take a moment and just be grateful? And let's do that right now. God, we're grateful for 21 years of you changing people's lives, of you giving hope where there was no hope, of you giving victory where there was only defeat, of you giving friendship where there was only loneliness, of you giving freedom where there was addiction. God, we're just so grateful. And we ask that you would give us 21 more years and beyond that of just tapping into you and learning to experience life to the full because we're tapped into you. And we pray it in Jesus' name. Everybody said? Amen. Amen. I am very excited to get to visit with you this morning because I'm going to get to teach you a principle out of God's Word, but I'm also going to be sort of beginning to just, you ever turn the oven light on when you're baking something just to peek in the oven, right? We're just going to do that. We're not going to taste it yet. That's coming. Diva said February 24. You're not going to want to miss that. I'll remind you of that later. But today, we're going to begin to pull back the curtain on the stuff that we are going to be doing over this coming year with the coming generation. So this is the beginning of a 4-week series, and we're going to talk about paradigms. That's how we view things, specifically how we view the next generation. We're going to talk about values. In other words, where does that fit in our scale of priorities as a church? And we're going to talk about plans. What do we intend to do with this? So when we talk about a paradigm, here's our brand new paradigm. And would you be courageous enough to read it out loud with me, even if you don't believe it? Okay? If you don't believe it, don't read it, all right? I won't make you lie at church, all right? But I do want us to read it together if you think you can agree with this. Here we go. Here we go. It's everyone's responsibility to love and empower the next generation. There are 3 words that are underlined in there. Everyone's. That means you and me. I'll talk to you in a minute about what that looks like. And it's our responsibility not to correct. It's our responsibility to love and empower the next generation. So that's our new paradigm, and we will refer to that often, not just this morning, but throughout this entire teaching series, and not just during the teaching series. That's a paradigm for our church. You'll hear us refer to that often. Our new priority, our next gen strategies, they're going to be a principal emphasis in our church. I don't have time to get into it today, but there are 4 things principally that we do, and one of them is next gen strategies. And our new plan is we're going to structure our resources, think staff, think volunteers, and think money, and adapt our campus around the Phase Project, which I'm surrounded by this morning, and I'll be talking to you about in a few minutes. Those are big changes. They are great changes, and they are going to be so fun to walk out as we go through this. Now, if I could just have a moment of self-confession. And I realize, before I show you this next slide, I realize that there are some of you, several of you, that you are shining examples of the opposite of this. You're phenomenal people. You are finding ways to invest your life in children and young people and students that don't live in your home, that you didn't give birth to, that you're not even related to. But for the rest of us, this is sort of our default paradigm. Children belong to parents, and whatever I do with or for them is a bonus. Can I tell you that's the paradigm we actually want to correct? So in this whole teaching that I'm going to give you today, and that we're going to be giving you in the next 4 weeks, if you could, please don't think family, think village. Got it? Please don't think family, think village. Because literally, it takes all of us to actually invest in the coming generation and to invest love and empowerment in them. So it's not just a bonus. So how do we change that paradigm? Well, I want to give us a couple of realities that might help us, especially those of us who don't have children living in our home, okay? And the first is this: we all have kids in our lives. Every one of us do. Yeah, no one lives isolated and insulated from children. We all have them in our lives. And last Sunday, we did child dedication, and we dedicated 19 kids. How cool is that? Yes. So I got a hold of somebody and I said, hey, give me some of those pictures that were playing in the lobby, because I just want you to look into the eyes of these kids and have them represent for you what we're talking about. Because as Angela talked to us last week, she was wearing a t-shirt and it said, unlimited opportunities, right? So take a look at this. You know, there are advantages to my hair, all right? I never have a good day, but I never have a bad one either, all right? So there you go, all right? Look at this little guy. What a cutie. No shortage of personality there, I'm sure, right? Yeah, so cute. I don't know who said what to her, but I don't think she's buying it. Look at this guy. Unlimited possibilities. Take a look at this guy. Does that picture look a little different from the others? You are sharp. That's me at 6 months of age. Now, I'm going to tell you in a little bit why I included that picture. So the reality is we all have kids in our lives. Here's the second reality. Because we care, we actually want to have influence. And so this morning is going to be all about influence. How can we, the village, have significant and wonderful influence in the lives of the students and children in our world? Because we care, we all want to have them. Here's the teaching in a nutshell. My best chance to have influence is to show up over and over again. And there's a reason for that. And here's another one of these realities. Someone kept showing up for us. You realize that? Somebody did. I want you to think for a minute. I didn't put a picture in that frame because I want you, if you would take the next few minutes and just think of someone who had great influence in your life, who was not your mom or your dad or your aunt or your uncle or your grandparents. Virtually everyone in our room. You could put more than one picture, more than one person in that frame. You know that little kid, me at 6 months? There was a couple, Lloyd and Gladys Ballard. They were both students in a Bible college in my hometown, and they were my principal babysitters when I was a tiny preschool kid. And I can still remember a multicolored, hand-sewn goose, stuffed goose, that I took my naps with, that I got from Lloyd and Gladys Ballard. I remember another lady, Kathy Hansen was her name. She was also a student in that same Bible college. And I remember one Sunday morning, we pulled up in front of the dorm where she was living to give her a ride to church because she was going to teach the class that I was going to be in at church. She was running a little late that morning. And again, I was like 3. And I can remember her running out of the dorm and hopping into the car right beside me. I was sitting in the middle of the back seat, and she hadn't had any breakfast yet, and she reached in her purse and she pulled out a very delicious looking banana. Now, I had already had breakfast, and my parents had trained me, you never ask an adult for something they have. So I knew not to do that. But this might have been my parents' first sort of forewarning that I might turn out to be a pastor. because pastors have ways of tying into lessons in order to get what they want, right? So I took a look at her banana. I looked up at her and I said, "We always share." And just in case she missed it, I said, "Even bananas." And I got a bite. I'm just so grateful for her influence in my life. I remember a teacher, Mr. Traxler, who's my 5th grade teacher. It was in his class that I decided to be a lifelong learner. I don't remember really enjoying school prior to that. But I remember in his class, I became a lifelong learner, and from that day on, I learned everything I could learn about anything. I remember a junior high math teacher. By the way, if there's any junior high teachers in here, you deserve a gold medal. Yeah. Imagine this, a junior high math teacher who perennially was voted by the students the best teacher in our school. Yeah, Mr. Newell. I remember a Bible college professor, Leif Culver, who took me aside one day and he said, "Ron, I believe in you. I see that someday God is going to do some wonderful things through you. And I just want you to know whatever he does through you, I will be in the background cheering you on." You know, somebody showed up for us. You could all come up here and tell stories, and you'd probably tear up like I just did. Somebody showed up for us. Here's what we know about that. We know that anyone who showed up for us and had real influence in our lives, we know this, that the influence they had was earned through relationship. It wasn't earned behind a lectern. It wasn't earned by them correcting us. I've never once thought, you know, that person, I'm so grateful for them because they were always telling me what I was doing wrong. No, it was the people who took the time to build a relationship with me, even if they were a teacher in the 5th grade that would never know what I would do with my life. And I would never know what he went on to do with his. I never saw him again after I left grade school. Yeah, but it was through relationship. I want to tell you a story from Scripture about a guy who had a wonderful influence on a group of people he had never personally met. And I want to share with you how it happened. Now, this guy was from the ancient nation of Israel, and his country had been conquered by the Babylonians, and they had totally destroyed the capital city. I mean, they took a battering ram and they beat down the walls. They took fire and lit the gates of that city on fire so that it looked like a dump heap when they left. And they took all of the families that survived the war and they deported them 900 miles to the city of Babylon, where they became servants in the homes and in the fields, and a few became servants in the palace of the king. The guy's name was Nehemiah, and Nehemiah had never seen his homeland. He was actually born in Babylon, in a foreign country. And through a series of circumstances, as he was growing up, somehow he was in the right place at the right time and had the right giftings. He became the wine server for the king. Now that sounds pretty lofty, and there certainly were some perks that went with that, but here's why the king had a wine server. Because the deal was, whatever the king drank and whatever the king ate, You had to stand there in the presence of the king, and you had to pour it, and then you had to drink. You had to pour it in yours and pour some in his, and you had to drink yours, and if you didn't die, the king would drink. But if you did, and someone had slipped poison in there, well, then you died, but the king didn't. That was his job. One day, he got some bad news. A friend of his had come, though it's 900 miles from his homeland that he had never seen, and its capital city, Jerusalem, and he had traveled to Babylon, and he took Nehemiah aside, and Nehemiah said, "Hey, how's Jerusalem?" And his buddy said, "Oh, it's a dump. It's a dump." Now, you know what? Nehemiah had never been there. He'd never seen the town. He'd never seen any of the people. You know what he could have said? "Oh, that's too bad. Not my responsibility." But he got a tug in his heart from God. And you know what? He decided that he could be part of the village that actually changed that situation. So he goes into the king, and this is what he says to the king. "If it please the king, and if the king thinks well of me, send me." Can I just stop there? Wouldn't it be wonderful if all the adults in every child's life were to pray that one simple prayer? Send me to this child. Let me help. Let me come alongside those parents. And if every parent said, "Send me. Make me a better parent." Oh yeah, and let me help my good friends who have kids my same age so that we can partner together. Nehemiah said, "Send me to Judah, to the city where my family is buried, so that I can rebuild it." Listen, this is where we learn the first lesson of influence, because influence has to be earned. And here it is. Influence is earned when we show up by making sacrifices. Do you think this was easy? Nehemiah was living in the palace of the king. That was one of the perks. He ate the same food that the king ate every meal. That's pretty good, right? He drank the same wine that the king drank every single meal. Nehemiah was raised in a slave's home, but he was living in the palace. And he says to the king, "Send me." You know how many years he was gone? It would be 12 years before he ever returned to the palace. Wow. Listen to this. Real influence requires real sacrifice. There's no way to deeply influence anyone, child or adult, without real sacrifice. So, Nehemiah goes back. He gets to the city of Jerusalem because the king says, "Yeah, go." He gets to the city of Jerusalem. He does a tour. And you know what? He came back with a three-word summary. It's a dump. Everything he had heard was true. So Nehemiah gathers his fellow countrymen and women that he's never seen, doesn't know any of them. And here's the message he gives. Face it, we're in a bad way here. Thank you, Nehemiah. I hadn't noticed. They all knew. He went on, "Jerusalem is a wreck. Its gates are burned up." Then he says, "Come, let's build it. Let's do something about this. Not, I'll be in charge. I'll tell all of you what to do." He said, "Come." It's a together thing. Let's build the wall of Jerusalem and not live with this disgrace any longer. I told them, notice how he begins to sow the seeds of hope in them. He says, "We can do this." And he goes on to say, "I told them how God was supporting me. And I told them how the king was backing me up." You know, when Nehemiah went in to see the king, you know what the king said? He said, "Nehemiah, I'm not only going to send you, I'm going to send a letter with you, and I'm going to send a letter that goes to the head of the forest division in your homeland, and I'm going to send a letter to the person who supervises the quarry in your homeland, and I'm going to give you unlimited stone, and I'm going to give you unlimited timber. Now, what else do you need? Pretty cool. Because influence is earned when we show up by giving love and hope. People Nehemiah had never seen, and yet he wanted to make a difference in their lives. So they all rally around, and he puts together the plan, and they start to clear out the rubble, and they start rebuilding the wall, and some real enemies show up. And by the way, if you're doing anything worthwhile, you will have enemies. Have you noticed that? An old pastor said this to me when I was a kid. You know, if you and Satan never run into each other, it probably means you're going the same direction. Yeah. Real enemies. So these enemies put together a small army, and their intent was to come and kill the people who were working to rebuild the city wall. I'd say that's a serious enemy. So you know what Nehemiah did? Look at this. I placed all the people by clans. Isn't that interesting? Where? In the gaps. This is the places where they were most vulnerable with their weapons. And I said to everyone, do not be afraid of your enemies. And friends, if there's any message we would want to give as a church to every family in this room, or anyone who's listening right now, or who would ever listen to what we're talking about this morning, if there's any message we would give, it would be this: you don't have to be afraid as you parent your children. Yeah, I know. There are real forces at work that make it difficult to raise children. Have you noticed that? Of course you have. Yeah. There are real enemies to family out there. There are real enemies to children growing up with solid foundations of belief and of character and a solid foundation of what the future could look like. But you and I don't have to be afraid, especially if we will be a village to the families who have children. He goes on to say this: put your minds on God and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. I just want to say something on behalf of our entire staff. We believe without reservation that every child is worth fighting for. Do you believe that? Every kid is worth fighting for. Yeah. Here's lesson number 3. Influence is earned when we show up by taking risks. Wow. You know, these people that Nehemiah put in the gaps, these clans, they were not soldiers. They were people like you and me. And they were people that they rounded up as many swords as they could, and they said, here, take this thing. And they were like, whoa, what do I do with this? They took risks. Can I share with you, if we're going to be a village to the children of our world, that you and I are going to have to take some risks, real risks? It means that you and I are going to have to learn to spot the gaps, the places of vulnerability in the children's lives that are in our world, and we're going to have to learn how to stand in that gap for them. For many of us, it's going to mean getting out of our comfort zone. For many of us, it's going to mean getting down on a child's level. For many of us, it's going to mean volunteering in one of the classrooms to lead a small group of children in the most wonderful way. And many of us are going to go, I've never done that before. Well, good. You can learn. That's the deal. It's going to mean influence always requires us to take real risks. Now, here's my favorite part of the story. When our enemies learned we were aware of their plans, they didn't even attack. They went home. And we were able to return to our work on the wall. The big takeaway is this. When the people stood in the gaps, the enemy didn't attack. It was as if something happened and they couldn't move forward. And I just want to share this with our entire church. And that is, if you and I will be the village and we will stand in the gap for the children in our world, and we will stand in the gap for the parents who are doing their dead level best to raise those kids. If you and I will stand in the gap, then the enemy will have very little power over our kids. Because that's what influence does. So, this is where we started. One voice. You walked right by the banners when you came in, right? You probably noticed them. One voice. This is what makes a village. One voice. Where we learn to look at the coming generation with the same heart of love and the same desire to influence them. And as it says around it, we can do more together. So how does that work? Well, today I'm just going to take the lid off a thing that we call the Phase Project. And this is one of the ways that you can stand in the gap. Now, I'm surrounded by materials, and please feel free when we are done to come up and look at them and leaf through them. You'll find them very helpful. So I'm going to give you 4 little truths that will just sort of pique your interest. Did you know that a preschooler takes 75 more steps per minute than the average adult? You ever see a parent dragging a little preschooler along and the kid's, he's going as fast as he can go, and at some point he says, "Pick me up." And we think he's lazy. No. If you've just walked 3 minutes, that little kid has taken 225 more steps than you have. Yeah, it's important to know the phase that kids are in. Did you know that beginning in the 2nd grade, girls thrive with girls and boys thrive with boys? In preschool, kindergarten, and 1st grade, they're pretty much oblivious to that stuff. But by the 2nd grade, the research has conclusively shown that when you put girls with girls, they thrive, and boys with boys, they thrive better than they do when you keep them together all the time. Did you know? Are you ready for this? Middle schoolers lose 1/3 of their cerebral cortex. I'll vote for that, right? By the way, no offense to any middle schoolers here. This is a thing called pruning. This is why parents of middle schoolers say, "How many times do I have to tell you? You know this?" Yeah, but they just lost their mind. Literally. This is why it's important for you and me. If we're going to be a village around kids, we have to know what's going on in their world. What is the cerebral cortex? What does it actually do? Are you ready? It's the part of your brain that's in charge of emotional expression. It's the part of your brain that's in charge of comprehension. It's the part of your brain that's in charge of memory. How many times do I have to tell you? As many as it takes, apparently. It's the part of their brain that's in charge of problem solving. And here's one I know you can all relate to. If you've ever had a middle school or junior high student in your home, it's the part of their brain that's in charge of communication. Yeah. Did you know that the world of high schoolers is very different than when you were in high school? Can I tell you, this is the one that sneaks up on us? Because for most of us, our preschool years are pretty fuzzy, if we got anything there. Our grade school years are still pretty fuzzy. Junior high gets a little better, But high school, we all remember what it was like to be in high school. And the problem is, we think we know what our high schoolers are going through because we can remember our high school years. At best, you remember what it was like to be in high school 18 years ago. In my case, I remember what it was like to be in high school 50 years ago. Can I tell you that the world that your high schoolers are in today, any high schooler in your life, if you're a parent or if you're an adult that's been out of high school more than 10 or 12 years, no internet, no Facebook, no Instagram, none of that. I know, how did we live? If you go back a few more years, no cell phones. If you go back a few more years, no video games. Can I just share with you, if you have a high schooler in your life, please don't assume that you know what it's like to be them. Yeah. I want to tell you what a phase is and why it's so important. A phase is a time frame in a kid's life when we can leverage distinctive opportunities to influence their future. Wow. It's a time frame. There's a couple things you need to remember. The first one is this. It's just a phase. I say this for hope, for all of you who are frustrated with whatever kids are in your world. An old pastor said to me one time, and he read out of the King James, he said the four most important words in the Bible are these: it came to pass. It came and it's going to pass, right? Yeah. It's just a phase, okay? So don't have a heart attack over it. Don't lose your character over it. Don't alienate a kid in your world because it's just a phase. So don't miss it. Because there are very unique things that in that phase of a child's life that they are wide open to learning. And if you miss it, it's going to be way harder for them to get it later. Does that make sense? Yeah. So as a church, we are committed to giving tools and opportunities for every single person to play a role, a significant role, in loving and empowering the coming generation. Are you on board with that? Absolutely. That's who we are. That's who God has called us to be. I want to give us 3 action steps, and then I'll get you out of here. And the first one is this. Come to the community update. It's on what day? The 24th of February. Here's the time. Are you ready? 2 o'clock. Ready? 2 o'clock. So I'm giving you permission right now to get out your phone and to reserve that time. All right? Pastor said you could do that. All right? You can get out your phone. Secondly, begin to pray about whatever role. Listen, we're going to lay out a whole bunch of stuff. We got a cool chart that will help you, and you're going to learn all about that later. But we need graphic artists that will work in our next gen strategies. We need people who know how to run budgets to work in our next gen strategies. Virtually any skill that you have, there will be a way for us to put it to work in such a way that it actually helps the coming generation. And number 3, you're not going to want to miss any one of these. Next week, we're going to talk about how to be intentional. And I'll have a couple of props up here and so forth. I just want to close with, where did it go? Yeah. Austin, would you hand that to me, please? I lost my marbles. Some of you are saying, I've known that for a long time, all right? 936 marbles in this jar. That's one for every week in a child's life from birth till they graduate from high school. You know what? If you have a senior in high school You don't have enough marbles left to cover even the bottom of this jar. My apologies to any of you who have seniors, because that's going to scare you to death. Right? 936 weeks. Let's make sure we use them all. Let's pray. God, thank you for the children in our world. Thank you that there were loving adults who showed up in our world and made such a difference. Thank you that you are leading our church to make this a really high priority. And God, would you help us to just be a church that's known in our community, that if you want to help with children, if you want to help with students, if you want people who will rally around and be their safety net, if you want training in what to do, well, then you just go there, because it's a high, high priority. Thank you, Jesus, that when people wanted to shoo off the kids, that you said, no, bring those kids here. And you took them in your lap and you blessed them. Would you help us to be a community of people, a village that blesses people daily? That's our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great week.
People try to put us to down, talking about my generation, just because we get around. Talking about my generation, things they do look awful. Talking about my generation, I hope I die before I get old. Talking about my generation, this is my generation, baby. Why don't you all fade away? Don't try to dig what we all say. I'm not trying to cause a big sensation. I'm just talking about my generation. My generation. This is my generation, baby. Don't you all fade away? Don't try to dig what we all say. I'm trying to cause a big sensation. Just talking about my generation. This is my generation. This is my generation, baby. Try to put us to down, talking about my generation, just because we get around. Talking about my generation, things they do look awful cold. My generation, I hope I die before I get old. Talking about my generation, this is my generation, baby. My generation. When I look into your eyes, It's like watching the night sky or a beautiful sunrise. Well, there's so much they hold, and just like them old stars, I see that you've come so far to be right where you are. How old is your soul? Well, I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. And when you're needing your space to do some navigating, I'll be here patiently waiting to see what you find. 'Cause even the stars, they burn. Some even fall to the earth. We got a lot to learn. God knows we're worth it. No, I won't give up. I don't want to be someone who walks away so easily. I'm here to stay and make the difference that I can make. Our differences, they do a lot to teach us how to use the tools and gifts we got here. We got a lot at stake. And in the end, you're still my friend. At least we did intend for us to work. We didn't break, we didn't burn. We had to learn how to bend without the world caving in. I had to learn what I got and what I'm not, and who I am. I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up, I'm still looking up. Well, I won't give up on us. God knows I'm tough. He knows we got a lot to learn. God knows we're worth it. I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up.
I'm gonna need you to raise your glass. I don't care what you put in it. Here's the nights that you can't take back. We live hard, but we love to laugh. And we all thought that we'd get rich fast. Hopped the plane out for greener grass. Found out the greenest cash don't compare to the friends that last. See, we won't forget where we came from. The city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. This city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. So here's to the cheap sunglasses, Red Bull and minivans, and people who had your back when the world didn't understand. See, we won't forget where we came from. The city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we still be raising our cups to the same damn thing. Oh no, this city won't change us. 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 Won't change us. Hey, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh, and no matter where we go, we always find our way back home. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh, and no matter where we go, we always find our way back home. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh, and no matter where we go, we always find our way back home. We always find our way back home. Yeah, we always find our way back home. I spent 20 years trying to get out of this place. I was looking for something I couldn't replace. I was running away from the only thing I've ever known.
Like a blind dog without a bone, I was a gypsy lost in the twilight zone. I hijacked a rainbow and crashed into a pot of gold.
Been there, done that. I ain't looking back on the seeds I've sown. Saving times, spending too much time on the telephone. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go home? There's only one place they call me one of their own. Just a hometown boy, born a rolling stone. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go back? Been all around the world, and as a matter of fact, there's only one place left I wanna go. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright.
I went as far as I could, tried to find a new face. There isn't one of these lines that I would erase. Lived a million miles of memories on that road.
Every step I take, I know that I'm not alone. You take the home from a boy, but not the boy from his home. These are my streets, the only life I've ever known. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go home? There's only one place they call me one of their own. Just a hometown boy, born a rolling stone. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go back? Been all around the world, and as a matter of fact, there's only one place left I wanna go. Who says you can't go home? It doesn't matter where you are,
Doesn't matter where you go,
if it's a million miles away
or just a mile up the road.
take it in, take it with you when you go. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go back? Been all around the world, and as a matter of fact, there's only one place left I wanna go. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Who says you can't go home?
Hey, brother. brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, know the water's sweet, but blood is thicker. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, do you still believe in one another? Hey, sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. What if I lose it all? Oh, sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. What if I lose it all? Oh, sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
Just an old piece of wood on top of 4 legs. It's got a few coffee stains and 1,000 marks from God knows when. Ain't too many things that can stand the test of time, but this family table's held together by love that never dies. So won't you come on in? Supper's almost done. Go ahead and call your friends, 'cause we got room for everyone. Let's make some memories round. There's a 9-foot pie. Pull up a chair and the family table. Family table. It's the cornerstone that held us all up through the best of times and made our way when times got tough. We blew the candles out and I walked through time. This family table's bound together by love that never dies. Won't you come on in? Supper's almost done. Go ahead and call your friends, 'cause we got room for everyone. Let's make some memories round this 9-foot pie. Pull up a chair, stay a while. And bow our heads. Thank the Lord for everything He's done, and for everyone at the family table. So please come on in. When your work is done, go ahead and wash your hands. Gather around with everyone, making memories round this 9-foot pie. No other place can ease your mind like a family table. Family table. Like a family table. Family
flying into silence, broken pieces lying around where it went down. Water rising back to silence, quietly crying, wondering how. And look at us now. We thought our love would take the world by storm. Are we too far apart? Two worlds among the stars. You're gonna take a piece of my heart if you leave. So it's two separate ways, or am I too late to say? I wanna fight for what we got, 'cause I believe in family. So are we still trying, or simply surviving, facing these giants? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I still believe in the dreams we've been dreaming, the hope that we built on. It's never too far, it's never too far, if we choose to turn and let these walls fall down. Are we too far apart? Two worlds among the stars. You're gonna take a piece of my heart if you leave. So it's two separate ways, or am I too late to say? I wanna fight for what we got, 'cause I believe in family. far apart, two worlds among the stars. Don't take a piece of my heart, please don't leave. It's not too late to say, Father, show us the way to fight for what we got, 'cause you believe in family. In family. In family. In family.
Just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we had for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel.
Of my eye, girl, I never loved one like you.
Man, oh man, you're my best
nothing, please be more than you.
Let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you.
I followed you into the park, through the jungle, through the dark. Girl, I never loved one like you.
Boats and boats and waterfalls, alleyways and payphone calls. I've been everywhere with you.
That's true. Laughing till we think we're down, barefoot on the summer night. Never could be sweeter than with you.
And in the streets you run free like it's only you and me. Cheers, your sun and the sea. Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you.
Jade,
Alexander,
do you remember that day you fell out of my window?
I sure do. You came jumping out after me.
Well, you fell on the concrete and nearly broke your ass, and you were bleeding all over the place, and I rushed you out to the hospital. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Well, there's something I never told you about that night.
What did you tell me?
While you were sitting in the back seat smoking a cigarette you thought was going to be your last, I was falling deep, deeply in love with you. And I never told you till just now.
Let me go home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Let me go home. Home is where I'm alone with you.
Home, let me come home.
Hey, good morning, New Life.
Good morning, Heather.
Happy day. It's a day. It's just a day, an ordinary day. Hey, if you're coming on in, grab your coffee, come on in and join us. We're going to connect with God through worship this morning. For those of you who are on time, let's stand together and lift our voices. You placed eternity in our hearts. We were yours from the very start. All we've known has been torn apart, and now we have forever. You gave a song for our souls to sing, and your life was the offering. Even death, it has lost its sting, and now we have forever. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. You made a place at your table, God. Paved the way for the poor and lost. Called us
didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. No one can take your place. No life, no death can separate. Your love is conquering the grave. They can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. And they can't take away what the world didn't give. We were made for more. We were made for more. At the end of the day, this will remain. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. Forever we are yours. We are yours.
There's a space in every beating heart. There's a longing that reaches past the stars. There's an answer to every question mark. There's a name. There's a hope flowing through these veins. There's a voice that echoes through the pain. There's an ember ready for the flame. There's a name. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. There's a joy that triumphs over fear. There's a laughter that wipes away all tears. There's a presence that changes atmospheres. There's a name. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. Fix eyes. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chain. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. breaks our ice. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. Stand in awe. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks our chains. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chain. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. My victory has a name. Victory has a name. Jesus. Joy has a name. Joy has a name. His name is Jesus. My hope has a name. Hope has a name. Jesus. Isaiah 28:16 says, God says, look, I am placing a foundation stone in Jerusalem, a firm and tested stone. It is a precious cornerstone that is safe to build on. Whoever believes need never be shaken. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest friend, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Let's sing that again. Come on, every voice. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Oh, I dare not trust the sweetest friend, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong, the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of all. When darkness seems to hide His face, I rest on His unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, this sound. Oh, may I then in him be found, oh, dressed in his righteousness alone, faultless stand before the throne.
Our voice and sing Christ alone together this morning.
See Christ alone, the cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. Oh, Christ alone, the cornerstone, weak and made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all.
The cornerstone of a building was the first stone that was laid. It was the stone that every other stone was placed on. And so small flaws or errors in that cornerstone, or placing the cornerstone in the wrong spot, would affect the whole building. It had to be perfect, reliable, strong, and sure. And Jesus was referred to as the cornerstone years before he was even born. He is the foundation of our faith, our rock in which we stand, the calmer of our storms and the lifter of our heads. And when we say yes to Jesus, we say yes to building our lives on that foundation. It can't help but completely change us. I think we instinctively know this because we often find ourselves putting Jesus in just one part of our lives. Maybe this corner over here that seems like a safe, appropriate spot. Important, but over here, because if he was everywhere, our whole lives would just be turned upside down. We know instinctively that he'll change the way we make decisions, though our priorities and our habits. He'll change us from the inside out. But that is how the transforming power of God and his love works. But when we say yes to Jesus, that doesn't mean that our lives will be trial-free. It doesn't mean that we'll always have a clear path ahead of us. It does mean, though, that in times of stress and confusion and darkness and maybe even times of deep pain, that we can rest in the knowledge that we serve a God that only wants good things for us and loves us deeply. In the next few minutes, we're going to continue to play and sing, and we're going to say yes to Jesus today as we participate in communion and what he did for us on the cross, the lengths that he went to show us how much he loves us. And I just want to invite you, as you feel, when you feel ready or when you feel led, just make your way to one of the tables that are around the room as we continue to sing.
The King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. For you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh.
You're never gonna let me down. 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 No, you're never gonna let me down. No, you're never gonna let me down. No, no, you're never gonna let me down.
sing Let the King one last time. Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song.
Good morning. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. You guys ready to watch the game? Eat? Yeah, does the diet start tomorrow? Yeah. All right. Do we have Rams fans in the house? Oh, a lot more than first service. We got a lot of booze. How about Patriots? Oh, over here. Okay, good. Well, my name is Diva, if I didn't tell you that already. I'm your MC today. If it's your first time, we are so glad you're here. We want you to feel at home. So we got coffee out there. Just relax. We have a great message. We're starting off a new series called We Can Do More Together. And we have a bunch of toys up here because the focus is kids. And if you're like me who have watched all episodes of Marie Kondo, I was thinking, oh, I should put that there. I could arrange that there with my toys at home. So Ron has a great message about kids and the future of the church with children here. So we're excited for that. So let me walk you through your Connect card. It came inside your program. This is a way for us to connect with you. We don't spam email you or anything like that, but we do read your prayer requests. I'm privileged to be on the leadership team and read through those, and so I'm always praying for you guys every week when you write something down, and I'm singing a praise along with you when I get to see what you guys are celebrating in life. So go ahead and get that ready. I have 2 announcements while you're filling that out, and then guest services is going to come up in a few minutes. My first announcement is for February 24th. You want to save the date because we are having another community update where we are going to be talking about Next Gen, what that is, what it's going to look like for kids, how it can impact you. So if you work with kids, you have kids, grandkids, you're thinking about kids, this is a community update you're going to want to attend and not miss. And I know some of our teachers who work directly with the children are going to be putting that on, so you'll get to hear directly from them. My second announcement for you is about Mexico missions trip. Justin, did you find a lot better? All right, who knows how to do like a grito? No, I'm not good at it. All right, so Mexico Missions, Roberto is going to be out in the lobby. He has the colorful poncho on right back here, and he will answer any questions you have. Cost, can I bring my kids? Is it safe? Is it going to be like Narcos Mexico that I watch on Netflix? He will answer all those questions for you. And so those people who have gone always have a great time. I always hear great things. They built a house out there. They work in an orphanage out there. So if you've never been on a trip before, go ask some questions and see if this is for you. It might be, maybe it's not this year, but maybe in the future. So guest services, let's have you come forward. We have a video for you. Ron's coming out to talk in just a minute, and I hope you guys have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Have fun. Eat a lot.
Good morning. Hey, happy Super Bowl Sunday. I know Diva got you all revved up for that. Just in visiting with my friends, I figure we have Patriots fans, we have Rams fans, and we have Patriot haters. So yeah, the Rams haven't done enough yet to be hated, okay? They win a few times, maybe they will. So I want to say a couple things. First of all, for those of you who are brand new to New Life, welcome this morning. Every Sunday here is a learning experience, and I hope that this morning will be that way for you. If you're here from out of town, we're grateful we get to be your church away from home. If you're from right here in town, we would love to be the church that you come to whenever you go to church. So today we're going to haul out some really interesting stuff about kids. You're going to learn some things about kids that I'm pretty sure you didn't know, and we're going to talk about the priority and so forth that we will make of kids. So I want to welcome you along on that journey. I want to remind some of you and tell others of you, 21 years ago this morning, the first Sunday in February, 21 years ago, 245 people braved probably a Category 3 storm, maybe Category 4. The rain was coming down in sheets. The wind was gusting to 40 miles an hour or more. It was a terrible morning. 245 people had their umbrellas blown inside out and somehow managed to come to church at the multipurpose room at Sonoma Mountain Elementary School for the grand opening of our church. How about that? 21 years ago today. In the meantime, hundreds, perhaps thousands of people spread across the face of the United States and a few in foreign countries have had their lives forever changed. I just got to visit a week ago with a guy that he and his wife came to our church. They moved here from Oklahoma. And interestingly enough, the fire, they lived in Santa Rosa, the fire burned all the way around their house. Every house was gone except for theirs. And they were renting, and because people needed a place to stay, the people that owned the house decided that their children needed the house more than they needed to rent it, and so they rented it to their kids, and he got downsized at his job, and they left and went back to Oklahoma. Sad story, we miss them. But they were here for only a few months, but I want you to hear what he said. He said, I was a churchgoer before I came to New Life, but it changed my life. I will never, ever look at the world the same again. How about that? And that is the legacy of our church. Yes, absolutely. So today, we start a brand new teaching series, and it's all about kids. And I am so excited for where we're going as a church. I can't think of a time when I've been more excited about where we're going as a church. And so let me teach you a couple things. First of all, these 4 weeks, it's a 4-week series. You walked right by the One Voice banners on the way in, so I know you saw that. We're going to talk about paradigms. We're going to talk about values. We're going to talk about plans. Paradigms are how we view things. Actually, in this series, it's how we view children and students, okay? That we will affectionately call them kids, all put together. We're going to talk about values. In other words, where do we put them in our scale of priorities? And we're going to talk about plans. What do we intend to do? What are we working on? And what I'm going to just have you ever baked something and you couldn't wait? I baked some cookies the other day. I didn't want to wait till they came out, so I turned the oven light on so I could see in, right? Because the house was smelling real good, and I just wanted to see what they look like, right? So today, we're just going to turn the light on in the oven, okay? We're not going to taste. We're not going to do any of that stuff. That's all coming on the 24th. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But today, we're just going to give us a sneak peek into where we are headed, and I am super excited about it. So in terms of our paradigm, I would like, if you would read this out loud with me. Ready? Let's read it together. It's everyone's responsibility to love and empower the next generation. There are 3 words that are underlined. Everybody's. Everybody's. we'll get to a paradigm that we often have. Not all of us, but we'll get to a paradigm in a minute that we often have. But one of the things that we want to do as a church is we want to rewrite what is sort of our default paradigm and recognize that it's everyone's responsibility. I just tell you up front, it would be the easiest thing in the world to think this is a series on family or this is a series on parenting. It's actually not. This is a series on village. It takes a village to raise children. It does. And we have the opportunity to be the village to all the children in our world. And so that's what this series is about. So that's our new paradigm. Our new priority is there are 4 things that we really emphasize in this church. I don't have time to get into all of them, but I can tell you that our next generation strategies is one of those 4, and you're going to hear about it over and over and over again because it is a primary and principal emphasis in our church. And last of all, we will structure our resources, think staff, volunteers, and financial resources, and we will adapt our campus around the Phase Project, which I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. But I will tell you, in order to do this well, it's going to take lots of people, and it's going to take a lot of resources. But I would also tell you this. Could we possibly put a price tag on the next generation? I know MasterCard says they're priceless, but they pale in comparison to the next generation, right? Because the next generation truly is priceless. So, here's that default paradigm. And I know some of you are shining examples of the opposite of this. But for many of us, and it doesn't sound very good, but if you were to look at our schedules, and you were to look at our checkbooks, and you were to look at our charge card receipts, and you were to look at where we invest our free time, the truth is that oftentimes we tend to look at this as children belong to parents, and whatever I do with or for them is a bonus. And that's a paradigm that we want to actually rewrite. What's the new paradigm? It's everyone's responsibility to love and empower the next generation. It's not just parents. So having said that, let's look at a couple of realities that will help us reshape our paradigms. And the first is this. We all have kids in our lives. We all do. Not just parents, not just aunties and uncles. We all have kids in our lives. And last week, we dedicated 19 children. Was that awesome? Yeah, that was so good. And so I shamelessly stole some of the pictures that we had running out there on the lobby TVs because I just wanted you to look into these kids' eyes. This is the coming generation. You know, just looking at that picture, I realize I'm grateful for my hair. While I never have a good hair day, I never have a bad one either. So there you go, all right? Look at this kid. Yeah. Isn't that hilarious? I don't think there's any shortage of personality there. Look at this one. I don't know who told her what, but I don't think she's buying it. Do you? Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Does that picture look a little different? In first service, there was a 6-year-old kid sitting right down here. He took one look at that and went, "That's you." And that is me at 6 months old. Okay? I'm going to come back, and I won't show you the picture again, but I'm going to talk about that, and there's a reason why I've included that. Okay? So the first paradigm-shifting reality is, listen, we all have people like this in our lives. All of us do. They're not all little kids. Some of them are in grade school, some of them are in junior high, some of them are in high school, but we all have kids in our life. Here's the second paradigm-shifting reality. Because we care, we want to have influence. Yeah. One of the things that I know about us as a church is we deeply care. Because we care, we want to have influence. The question is, how can we have influence? What's the best way to have influence? And the big idea of the day is this. My best chance to have influence is just to show up. Over and over again. It's easy to show up at someone's baptism, or to show up at their high school graduation, or to show up at their wedding. And while those are good things, if those are the only times you show up, you and I will never have influence. It's showing up over and over again in the daily routines and rhythms of a child's life that we actually get influence. And here's another reality. Someone kept showing up for us. Now, right now, there's a reason why there's a question mark in the picture frame. Because I want you to put in the picture frame, in your own mind, a picture or two or three of people that showed up in your life. Not your mom, not your dad, not your grandparents. Those are all wonderful people, and we're glad they showed up. But somebody you weren't related to, that you know heavily influenced you. And if you look at that and you go, I don't have anybody to put in there, then you know how important it is because you didn't have it. And you wouldn't want that for any other kid. When I look at this, I think of a newly married couple, Lloyd and Gladys Ballard. They were college students. Gladys was my babysitter when that picture was taken of me. I remember a multicolored, handmade, hand-stuffed goose that Gladys Ballard gave me as a little kid. And I took my nap every day as a little kid with that goose. I still remember it. They showed up for me. I remember a lady by the name of Kathy Hansen. She also was a student in college, and I remember one Sunday morning, and I was just a preschool kid. I was probably 3. We pulled up in front of the dorm where she lived, and she came running out to get in the car because she was going to go to church, and she was going to teach the Sunday school class that I was in. And she was running a little late. She jumped in the back seat of our car, and I was sitting in the middle, and she was sitting right here. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And she reached in her purse, and she pulled out a very delicious looking banana. Now, I had already had breakfast. And my parents had trained me, even at 3, you never ask an adult for what they have. And you never ask them for food. Now, maybe this should have been my parents' first hint that someday I would be a pastor. Because pastors have a way of couching things in lessons to get people to do what you want them to do. I remember sitting there, I looked up at her, and she peeled that banana and took the first bite. And my mind is going. I looked up at her and I said, we always share. And just in case she missed it, I said, even bananas. I got a bite. Kathy showed up in my life. I remember a 5th grade teacher that I had at Angie Wilson Public Grade School. His name was Mr. Traxler. I don't have an idea where he is today. He doesn't have an idea where I am. But it was in his class, and because of who he was, and because of how he related to me, that I decided in his class I would be a lifelong learner. And whatever I could learn on any subject, I would learn. I remember a junior high math teacher, Mr. Newell. Believe it or not, junior high math, he was voted perennially, I don't know how many years running, the favorite teacher of the students in the school. If you're a junior high math teacher, that's saying something. Yeah. I remember a Bible college professor, Leif Culver, who showed up in my world over and over and over again. And one day, he took me aside in Bible college. He said, "Ron, I see you. I believe in you. I think God is going to do some very special stuff in and through your life. And when he does, I want you to know I'll be in the background cheering you on." He showed up in my world. You see, those people were just part of the village that helped raise me, and you don't know any of them. But if you go to this church and you're influenced by this church, you owe those people. Does that make sense? So I wonder, back to those pictures of those little kids, we don't know what those kids, we don't know what the kids that are in the zone right now are in Kids Life right now. We don't know who or what they're going to become, but we do know that they're worth investing in. Somebody showed up for us. You see, here's the truth about all the people who showed up for us. Influence is earned through relationship. Not one of those people had influence in my life because they remained aloof. Not one of those people had influence in my life. Never once have I gotten on my knees and said, "God, thank you, thank you, thank you for all those people you put into my life who just constantly corrected me." Never had that thought. But the ones who cared enough to love and the ones who cared enough to empower, I have thanked God for them time after time after time. I want to tell you a story from the Bible about a guy who decided to have influence in the lives of people he had never met. And what a difference God made through him. I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory. He was part of the ancient nation of Israel. And before he was born, the country where his ancestors lived was at war with the super world power, and the super world power of the time actually won. No surprise there. It was the Babylonian government, and they went in and they battered down all the walls of the capital city of his ancestral land. That city was Jerusalem. You've probably heard that name before. And they set fire to all of the city gates, and they left it looking pretty much like a dump. And then they took all of the people who actually survived the war, and they transported them. No, not like you think. Those people had to walk 900 miles from Jerusalem to Babylon. And the people who survived that journey became servants in the fields and in the homes of the Babylonians, and a very few actually became servants in the palace of the king. This story is about a guy who actually became a servant in the palace of the king. It was a rare privilege. His name was Nehemiah, and his job was to be the wine server and the wine taster for the most powerful man in the world, the king of Babylon. And while that sounds like maybe a great job, the deal was you brought in the wine, you put the empty goblets in front of the king, you poured one small goblet for yourself and one large goblet for the king, and before the king would drink, you had to drink, and if you didn't die, the king would drink. But if you die, bad time to pause, right? If you died, too bad for you, the king could get another wine server. But at least the king didn't die. Now, to be sure, this job had some perks. Nehemiah lived in the palace of the king, in the palace of the most powerful man in the world. And if you've ever studied the 7 wonders of the ancient world, one of the ancient wonders of the world were the gardens in that palace. Granted, he was a servant, but it was his home. Nehemiah also got to eat the exact same things that the king ate, and he got to drink the exact same wines that the king got to drink. If you were born into a slave's family and that's where you ended up, you're not leaving that, right? That's as high as it could get. One day, some bad news comes to Nehemiah. A friend of his had just traveled to Jerusalem and had come back to Babylon, and he said to Nehemiah, Nehemiah, you can't believe our ancestral country. It's a dump. It's terrible. It's a disgrace. Now, Nehemiah could have done what a lot of us might have done. Oh, that's too bad. Somebody should do something about that. But oh, by the way, it's not going to be me, because where am I living? And who am I? I'm a slave, but I'm living in the palace of the king. But Nehemiah gets a tug on his heart. And it's the same kind of tug that I hope many of us get. Because here's where we pick up the story. Nehemiah goes into the king and says, if it please the king, and if the king thinks well of me, send me to Judah, to the city where my family is buried, so that I can rebuild it. Here's the first thing we learn about influence from Nehemiah. Influence is earned when we show up by making sacrifices. Yeah. I wrote in my notes, real influence always requires real sacrifices. Now the king says yes, and Nehemiah leaves, and how long do you think it took him to do that job? It would be 12 years before he ever came back to the king's palace and assumed his old job and lived in the palace. Big sacrifice. So Nehemiah gets the approval from the king. He heads back. He does a little survey, rides around the city of Jerusalem, and he comes back and he calls together the leaders of the people, both men and women, and he has a 3-word summary. It's a dump. Yeah, notice what he says. Face it. We're in a bad way here. Jerusalem is a wreck. Its gates are burned up. Now notice what he does. He doesn't stop there. He said, come. He doesn't say, go. He doesn't say, you build it. He doesn't say, what are you thinking about? He says, come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem and not live in this disgrace any longer. And then he said, I told them how God was supporting me. Wow. Because when you went into the king and you said, could I be relieved of my duties in the palace as your servant so I can go do something in my homeland? If the king's not in a good mood that day, you get to go to a different land. Right? Yeah, that's a shortcut to heaven right there. But God was supporting me, and the king not only said, yes, look what he says, and how the king was backing me up. When he went in to say to the king, hey, king, would you send me? The king said, hey, I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to send a letter with you to the guy who runs the forests in Israel, your homeland, and he's going to give you all the lumber you need to build whatever you want. And I'm giving you a letter to the guy who runs the quarry in your ancestral land, and he's going to give you all the stone that you need to build whatever you think you need to build. Here's the second lesson. Influence is earned when we show up by giving 2 things, love and hope. Every kid I know at points feels rejected. Every kid I know at points feels alone. Every kid I know at points feels very, very much neglected. And every influencer knows love is the answer to all three of those. Every kid I know at some point growing up, actually many points growing up, feels completely overwhelmed. If you've ever had a child with homework, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Every kid at points feels overwhelmed. And you know what they need? Hope. That's what they need. Influencers know that. And that's how they earn the right to influence. So, Nehemiah organizes all the people and they get ready. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to rebuild the wall that goes around the city. So whatever they rebuild on the inside doesn't get torn down by enemies. So they start to rebuild the wall and they clear out all the broken pieces of rock and all the stuff from the previous wall and all the burned up gates and everything. And they start rebuilding the wall. And then they have enemies who decide they're going to kill them. Can I just say to you, whenever you get ready to do anything worthwhile in life, you will have enemies. An old pastor said to me one time, he said, Ron, if you and the devil never run into each other, it's probably because you're going the same direction. Yeah. Well, they've got real trouble. They've got enemies that are starting to build a small army to come and wipe out. These people are not soldiers that are rebuilding the wall. They're just ordinary people like you and me. And this is not looking good. So here's what Nehemiah does. He said, I placed all the people by clans. In our case, think community, think village. It wasn't just fathers and mothers. All the people by clans. And I placed them where? In the gaps. These are the places where they were most vulnerable. With their weapons. And I said to everyone, and friends, what follows is a message that we as a church would like to give to every family, every set of parents, every set of grandparents in this room, and anybody who ever listens or watches this message. Yes, there are real forces in our world that actually make it difficult for our children to grow up and do well. Have you noticed that? There are real forces. But here's the thing. We don't have to be afraid. If we will be a village that actually steps in and invests in the coming generation, there's an amazing thing that happens. Take a look at what happened here. Nehemiah said, put your minds on God and then fight for your brothers, your sisters, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. I just want to make a statement. Every single child in our world is worth fighting for. Do you believe that? Absolutely. And as a church, we want to fight for every kid we can. Every single one. So there they were, standing in the gaps. Lesson number 3 is this. Influence is earned when we show up by taking risks. Huge risk. Can I share with you that there will be many of us in this room that need to take some risks if we're going to be influencers in the lives of the kids in our world? We're going to have to get out of our comfort zone. We're going to have to get down on the level where kids are. We're going to have to learn some new skills. We're going to have to be willing to put ourselves in places where we've never been before and in situations and circumstances that we've never been before. But this is part of fighting for our kids. Because influencers take real risks on behalf of the people they want to influence. I saw the news story. You saw it too, probably. Of the lady and her 5-month-old kid that she skidded out of control and drove her car into a river. And there was a guy right there. And he dove in the river, and he saved the 5-month-old, and then he dove back in the river, and he pulled out the mom. Influencers take risks. So what happened? Look at this. My favorite part of the story. When our enemies learned that we were aware of their plans and that everybody was standing in the gaps with their weapons, we were able to return to our work as well. You know why? Because the enemy never attacked. Can I tell you, when we as a village stand together with our kids, it actually becomes a safety net for them. And the enemy cannot have power over them. So here's the big takeaway. When the people stood in the gaps, the enemy just didn't attack. So that banner that you walked by on the way in said one voice. That's what it means to be a village. Not just separate families and parents saying different things, but one voice. When we look at our children and say, we will stand together for our kids, and we will fight for our kids, and we will invest heavily in our kids, and we will invest our time and our resources, because it's going to take a lot of people, and it's going to take a lot of resources. But our kids are worth it. Our grandkids are worth it. Every kid that we can reach is worth it. So here's where I want to take just a tiny peek for all of us into where we're headed, okay? One of the ways that we can step up is in a thing that we call the Phase Project. And if you look up here, I'm surrounded by all sorts of resources, and in one way or another, they're all related to the Phase Project, because there are specific phases that kids go through as they grow up. And the better we understand those phases, the more capable we are of influencing them. So I'm just going to give you a little snippets. For instance, did you know that preschoolers take an average of 75 more steps per minute than their average adult? You've all seen parents dragging their kids, right? And the little kid, his feet are going as fast as they can go, and finally he goes, oh, pick me up, carry me, right? And as parents, we're tired. We think, that's a lazy kid. No, if you've been walking 3 minutes, your child has taken 225 more steps than you have. They have a right to be tired. That's important stuff to know. Did you know that beginning in the second grade, up to the second grade, kindergarten and first grade preschool, boys and girls together, they thrive in that environment, and it's pretty cool. But beginning in the second grade, the research is conclusive that girls actually thrive better when they are grouped with other girls, and boys actually do better when they're grouped with other boys. Not exclusively, not that they're never together, but they actually do better. It's why in what we are launching in Next Gen Strategies, when we put together small groups for our students beginning in the second grade, we have girls with girls and we have boys with boys. Not because we're afraid of what they're going to do. That comes later, all right? Okay? But we want them to thrive. Did you know? No offense to any middle schoolers or junior hires here. Did you know that middle schoolers lose 1/3 of their cerebral cortex?
I did.
Yeah. If you've ever, and by the way, I love junior hires. This is actually a pretty cool thing. This is the way God made them, because they lose 1/3 of this, and then it gets rebuilt back with all adult stuff in it. But do you ever remember saying, or maybe you're saying it now, and if your kids are not to this stage yet, you're going to be saying it, how many times have I told you? You've known this. Huh. By the way, do you know what the cerebral cortex manages? Okay. Emotional expression. Does that explain some things? How about this? Comprehension. How about this? Memory. That's the how many times. How about this? Problem solving. Have you ever had your middle schooler or junior hire suggest something that you thought was absolutely stupid? They come up with some good ones too. Yeah. How about this? Communication. You ever wonder why your middle schooler is not a great communicator? they're losing their mind. It's normal. It's going to get rebuilt with all adult stuff. But when they go through that pruning process, friends, it's important for us to know this stuff. Because we want to come alongside of every parent and every influencer and say, we want you to know the kid that you want to influence. Yeah. How about this? The world of high schoolers is different than when you were in high school. This is probably the toughest one because you know why? Because our memories of preschool are probably pretty fuzzy, right? Even grade school, pretty fuzzy. We get a little better in junior high, but you know what every adult knows? I remember what it was like to be in high school. And it's very easy to think, I remember what it was like to be in high school, therefore I know what it's like for you to be in high school. Nope. Probably when you were in high school, there was no internet. There were no cell phones. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was no whatever the latest thing is. If you go back a little bit further, there were no video games. If you go back a little bit further, there were no computers. No one had tablets. Yeah, you did. You had a pencil that went with it. Yeah. We don't want to make that mistake. You see, what is a phase? A phase is a time frame in a kid's life when we can leverage distinctive opportunities to influence their future. That's what we want to do. We want to know what those phases are, and we want to know what the distinctive opportunities we have, what those are at that particular point in their lives. And because we care, we want to influence their future. So I want to leave you with two truths and then a couple of steps. The first truth is this: it's just a phase. That's important to remember. An old pastor said to me when I was a kid, he said, sometimes I think the four most important words in the Bible, and he read from the King James, the four most important words in the Bible are these: it came to pass. It came, but it's going to pass. Yeah, and that's important. It's important to remember as your children, as the little kids in our world, as the big kids in our world go through these phases, it's important for us to remember it's just a phase. It's not who they're going to be forever. It's just a phase. So let's not lose our mind over it. Let's not have a heart attack over it. Let's not burn the bridge with our kid because we're unhappy about some phase that they're going through. It's just a phase. But remember this. Don't miss it. Because in that phase, there are very unique and distinct opportunities we have to help them learn what they're going to need to know in order to thrive as adults. And if they don't learn it in that phase, if we don't get it done in that phase, they may never learn it. Or at best, it will be harder to learn. So yeah, it is just a phase. But let's know it so that we can leverage it for their good. There are three action steps that I would like to suggest for us. And the first one is this: come to the February 24th community update. Okay? I'm giving you permission right now to get out your phone in church and to enter it in your calendar, because I'm telling you, not because I think you need to be there. I think if you miss this meeting, the buzz that's going to go through our church, you're going to go, oh man, you're going to want to be there. So you notice there's no time up there. I'm giving you the time right now so you can enter it in your phone. It's 2:00. Okay? So the whole team has got a whole bunch of setup work to do between when church gets out and the community update. So 2:00, I've seen a little of this presentation. I can tell you it is riveting. And I can tell you, if I hadn't seen it, I would not have been able to believe it or imagine it with my own eyes and my own mind. It is going to be what we're getting ready to do for the kids in our church is phenomenal. So the February 24th community update. Second, pray about your role. You think, oh, I'm not very good with kids. Well, we need graphic artists in this whole department. We need people that can manage budgets in this department. We need people who can train and develop other people in this department. We need people who can do clerical work in this department. Almost any skill that you have, we can leverage that skill to actually make an investment in the coming generation. So don't think if I don't know how to sing or I don't know how to tell a story or my knees are too old, if I get down there, I'll just stay down there. Don't think those things, all right? Because there are lots of other things that we will need people to do, okay? And then thirdly, take in all 4 of these teachings. Next week, we're going to talk about how to be intentional. And we're going to learn some really cool stuff about how to be intentional. And so I won't tell you beyond that, but you don't want to miss any of these 4 teachings because they actually set the foundation for all that we're going to be unveiling for our kids throughout the rest of this year. This is the good stuff. So I'm going to pray and I'll get you out of here. God, thank you for every kid. Thank you for our church. Thank you for the people who gathered 21 years ago. Thank you for the people who have invested so heavily in this church. Thank you for the kids who come to this church. Thank you for the kids in Mexico who will be part of that family that we're going to build a house for and that we're going to get connected with the local church. Thank you for the people that they will influence 10, 15, 20 years from now, 30 or 40 years from now. God, would you make us a group of people who are a village for every possible child? That's our prayer. We pray it in Jesus' name. Everybody said? Amen, amen. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great week.
People try to put us to down, talking about my generation, just because we get around, talking about my generation. Things they do look awful, talking about my generation. I hope I die before I get old, talking about my generation. This is my generation, baby. Why don't you all fade away? Don't try and dig what we all say. I'm not trying to cause a big sensation. I'm just talking about my generation. My generation. This is my generation, baby. Don't you all fade away? Don't try to dig what we all say. I'm trying to cause a big sensation. Just talking about my generation. This is my generation. This is my generation, baby. People try to put us to down, talking about my generation, just because we get around, talking about my generation. Things they do look awful cold, my generation. I hope I die before I get old, talking about my generation. This is my generation, baby. My generation.
nation.
I'm gonna need you to raise your glass. I don't care what you put in it. Here's the nights that you can't take back. We live hard, but we love to laugh. And we all thought that we'd get rich fast. Hopped the plane out for greener grass. Found out the greenest cash don't compare to the friends that last. See, we won't forget where we came from. This city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. This city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. So here's to the cheap sunglasses, Red Bull and minivans, and people who had your back when the world didn't understand. See, we won't forget where we came from. The city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. The city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. When time's losing and we're losing touch and fading away, we'll still be raising our cups to the same damn thing. Oh no, this city won't change us. 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 Won't change us. Hey, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh, and no matter where we go, we always find our way back home. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh, no matter where we go, we always find our way back home. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh, no matter where we go, we always find our way back home. We always find our way back home. Yeah, we always find our way back home.
When I look into your eyes, it's like watching the night sky or a beautiful sunrise. Well, there's so much they hold, and just like them old stars, I see that you've come so far to be right where you are. How old is your soul? Well, I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up, and when you're needing your space to do some navigating, I'll be here patiently waiting
see what you find. 'Cause even the stars, they burn. Some even fall to the earth. We got a lot to learn. God knows we're worth it. No, I won't give up. I don't want to be someone who walks away so easily. I'm here to stay and make the difference that I can make. Our differences, they do a lot to teach us how to use the tools and gifts we got here. We got a lot at stake. And in the end, you're still my friend. At least we did intend for us to work. We didn't break, we didn't burn. We had to learn how to bend without the world caving in. I had to learn what I got and what I'm not and who I am. I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up, I'm still looking up. Well, I won't give up on us. God knows I'm tough. He knows we got a lot to learn. God knows we're worth it. I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up.
I spent 20 years trying to get out of this place. I was looking for something I couldn't replace. I was running away from the only thing I've ever known. Like a blind dog without a bone, I was a gypsy lost in the twilight zone. I hijacked a rainbow and crashed into a pot of gold. Been there, done that, I ain't looking back on the seeds I've sown. Saving times, spending too much time on the telephone. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go home? There's only one place they call me one of their own. Just a hometown boy, born a rolling stone. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go back? Been all around the world, and as a matter of fact, there's only one place left I wanna go. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. I went as far as I could, tried to find a new face. There isn't one of these lines that I would erase. Lived a million miles of memories on that road. Every step I take, I know that I'm not alone. You take the home from the boy, but not the boy from his home. These are my streets, the only life I've ever known. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go home? There's only one place they call me one of their own. Just a hometown boy. just a mile up the road. Take it in, take it with you when you go. Who says you can't go home? Who says you can't go back? Been all around the world and as a matter of fact, there's only one place left I wanna know. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Who says you can't go home? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Oh, who says you can't go home?
Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, know the water's sweet, but blood is thicker. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, do you still believe in one another? Hey, sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. What if I lose it all? Oh, sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. What if I lose it all? Oh, sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
silence, broken pieces lying around where it went down. Water rising back to silence, quietly crying, wondering how. And look at us now. We thought our love would take the world by storm. Are we too far apart? Two worlds among the stars. You're gonna take a piece of my heart if you leave. So it's two separate ways, or am I too late to say I wanna fight for what we got? 'Cause I believe in family. In family. So are we still trying, or simply surviving, facing these giants? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I still believe in the dreams we've been dreaming, the hope that we built on. It's never too far, it's never too far, if we choose to turn and let these walls fall down. Are we too far apart? Two worlds among the stars. You're gonna take a piece of my heart if you leave. So it's two separate ways, or am I too late to say I wanna fight for what we got? 'Cause I believe in family. In family. I still believe. I still believe that we're not too far apart. Two worlds among the stars. Don't take a piece of my heart, please don't leave. It's not too late to say, Father, show us the way to fight for what we got. 'Cause you believe in family. In family. In family.
Just an old piece of wood on top of four legs. It's got a few coffee stains and 1,000 marks from God knows when. Ain't too many things that can stand the test of time, but this family table's held together by love that never dies. So won't you come on in? Supper's almost done. Go ahead and call your friends, 'cause we got room for everyone. Let's make some memories round this 9-foot pie. Pull up a chair and stay a while at the family table. Family table. It's the cornerstone that held us all up through the best of times, and made our way when times got tough. We blew the candles out, and I walk through time. This family table's bound together by love that never dies. Won't you and bow our heads. Thank the Lord for everything He's done, and for everyone at the family table. So please come on in. When your work is done, go ahead and wash your hands. Gather around with everyone, making memories round this 9-foot pie. No other place can ease your mind like a family table. Family table. Like a family table. Family table.
Just like birds of a feather, I won't tell no lie. All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Just let me state for the record, we're giving love in a family dose. We are family. Hey, I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Sing it to me. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Living life is fun, and we've just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we had for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel. We are family. Sing it to me. I got all my sisters with me. Sing it to me. We are family. I can hear you, guys. Get up, everybody, and sing. We have faith in you and
caught my eye. Girl, I never loved one like you.
Man, oh man, you're my best friend. I scream it too. There's nothing that, there ain't nothing that I need.
Well, hot and heavy pumpkin pie, chocolate candy, Jesus Christ. Ain't nothing please me more than you.
Oh,